Welcome to your doom.
Canadians have really good junk food. Different junk food.
Different. It's different.
Yeah.
It's different. Americans have good junk food too, but you know.
I mean, junk food's junk food. It wouldn't be junk food if it wasn't good.
Or widely available. As junk readily is. What's up, everybody? We are your harbingers of doom. My name is Atul Katru.
I am Justin. I'm not giving you my last name because I'm that motherfucker.
And this is kind of our Halloween episode, so happy Halloween.
Belated Halloween.
Yeah. This is November 1st when we are recording this. What'd you do for Halloween? How was it?
It was dope. Especially after the great... Nice. After the great pumpkin travesty of 2017.
Care to remind viewers of that?
Oh, I will.
We could just splice some audio in from the last Halloween episode, but...
It was that episode I was talking about. Yeah, I was pissed. It was the day of Halloween or the day before Halloween. I couldn't find a pumpkin anywhere. Although this year, when I was driving around on Halloween, I found pumpkins at places, but they were all like... Not like... They're like small convenience stores, and they were all like $10 a pumpkin. Maybe $7 or $8, but like the two pumpkins I had bought earlier in the season were like $4 for two. And they were pretty sizable. But yeah, it wasn't exactly that this year. I got pumpkins on time.
Tell them what you were going to do.
With what?
You were going to get a pumpkin.
Yes.
By any means necessary.
This year?
No, last year.
You were
going to steal a pumpkin off someone's porch. Just
debating.
Let it out.
I was debating. I didn't because I would have felt bad about that. But anyways,
it's low.
It would have been. It's a low grade move. That's not. You don't want to be that guy.
That's right.
But that's right. The year before that, I decorated the house. That was the year that we had that
massive Halloween party at your place. We did the scarecrow. We made the scarecrow and stuff. That was great.
So the whole house was all decorated. Last year didn't do any of that because I was pissed off about the pumpkin. This year got my pumpkins. Dusted off the old decorations and, had a big red floodlight projecting onto the house. So it was casting a bunch of like cool, ominous shadows.
Nice.
Like it looked pretty menacing. And I thought what the topper would be one more set piece, I'll call it. And I ended up donning my Michael Myers costume, which, legit coveralls from Papa Bear. My dad was a mechanic for, I want to say 30-ish years, so he had some like perfect coveralls for the costume. I had a good mask, went out there and just menaced kids for like 3 hours.
That must have been fun.
Dude, it was amazing. There's so many different ranges of like reactions because you'd get some kids that would just kind of be like, okay, trick or treat.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say anything. I would just literally like, I'd look at them, I'd give them like the kind of the head tilt, and then I'd just point at our front door. Some kids would get it. They'd go up to the front door and knock, but they'd be looking back at me like, what the hell is this guy going to do? Then it would open, and Nisha would be there, and she was in like a Batman costume, and she's all nice and bubbly. Yeah, don't worry about him. He's not going to hurt you, and this and that. Like, it was kind of cool because like they come up, and it's like really creepy. There's fucking cobwebs everywhere. Yeah. There's me not saying a goddamn word and just pointing at things. And then all of a sudden you get that. So it kind of added levity to it. So they got a bit of a scare, and then they got their treat, right?
That's cool.
It was nice.
That's perfect.
But then there were some kids that didn't get the note. Like, even though I pointed at the door, like, is he asking us to go inside of his house? Like, what the fuck is going on? So then when I could see they weren't getting it, I would just go over to the door and just slam on it like twice with 2 or 3 big knocks. And then Nisha would come to the door and start the whole thing.
Yeah.
Then there were some kids that wouldn't come up to the door. There's this one little kid, and I actually broke character. I didn't take the mask off or anything, but... I changed my whole body language. Up until that point, I'm standing up straight and strong and looking angry, menacing eyes. And then as soon as the kid, like the kid was like 4, and I wasn't trying to scare him. Any of the little kids that would come up, I'd back off, let them go to the door, and just kind of stand there and look weird.
Yeah.
But this kid was not having any of that, and his parents were encouraged, go. He's gonna give you candy. Nisha had actually opened the door by then. And then I ended up breaking character by body language change. I ended up, sitting down on the steps with him. I grabbed a piece of candy. I'm like, here you go, buddy. I didn't say anything, but I was just kind of, he went over, trick or treat. He was really cute.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, you get a good mix. And then the best was these 3 teenage kids. They were funny, but then they ended up standing outside the house for a little while, and they were not heckling really, but like they were like, so you're just going to keep staring at us and standing still and blah, 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 right? And they kept kind of sort of talking shit. And then after a while, I got to a position where I was standing in front of my stairs, and they were all the way down on the sidewalk, right? Which is a few, like, it's like 20-ish feet from where I was standing. And then just at the second that they broke eye contact, I walked towards them with a ferocity. Yeah. And they went running. These kids were like probably 12 or 13 years old and just fucking darted. Up until that, they were nice and brave.
That's awesome. Love it.
It was fun.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, man.
On this end, nothing as scary. I had 2 projectors that I employed. I covered up the bay when you could still see the sheet is still up on the screen there, and I have some of these videos of like walls with like possessed paintings on them, like walls that are getting cracked and something's breaking out. Also with like ghosts flying through, really high quality videos, great stuff, and it looks great from outside. It looks like, you know, the house is haunted because the bay windows make it look like it's happening behind the window. It's good.
Right.
It looks pretty cool. So that was one thing, and then I used the projector to project what I think was like the biggest sort of hit, which was 3. I bought 3 pumpkins, didn't carve them. So actually, just to backtrack a little bit, on Saturday I had a whole bunch of friends over, spent all day just from like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, just like drinking and carving pumpkins. So I had like 6 carved pumpkins outside.
This is the second year I've missed that shit, too.
That's right. It's actually it was a lot of fun. The weird thing was, while we were carving, I usually set it up in the garage because it's just, you know, messy and like, you know, pumpkin guts everywhere. So in the garage, but it started snowing. It's the first pumpkin carving I've ever done where we carve pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns, and we take pictures, but we also have a snowball fight. Huh. It was a weird thing. It's a first for me. Anyway, so I had all these like 6 or 7 pumpkins out there, but then I bought 3 pumpkins that I didn't carve, set them on the outside bench, and used a smaller projector with a really high quality video of 3 pumpkins, and that's all it's projecting, and you have to move the pumpkins to get them lined up right. But when you get them lined up right, all 3 pumpkins have faces, and there's a couple of things. They sing songs and they tell stories, and it's super convincing. Like when you look at them, you're like, oh, how did they do that? Oh, it's a projector. Like, you actually have to think about it, because if you set it up right and the focus is right, it looks really convincing. It looks like these jack-o'-lanterns are talking, and it's really amusing and fun, and it's definitely like sort of a kid-friendly thing, which was kind of what I was going for. Shagu wasn't home. She didn't come home until late, so it was kind of like a one-man show, so I couldn't be outside and giving out candy at the same time. So I kind of set this whole thing up. It was really cool. It was fun to hear kids coming over and being like really sort of amused by this singing pumpkins on the front, complimenting the jack-o'-lanterns and all that stuff. It was also great to hear the parents coming up and like people taking videos of the front setup. I also have like an LED bulb that changes colors, so I set it to blue, and I set the whole like thing. It's not a floodlight, but it's like a small light that backsplash against the pumpkins is blue. So great contrast. Really sets the tone. So that was pretty great. All done like wirelessly. Did it through Chromecast and Plex basically, and it was really great. I had like some mechanical Wi-Fi problems when I got home, like trying to get home early enough to set it all up, and I was like freaking out, but I managed to get it all straightened out.
Dope. It
was really fun to hear like some of the kids were sitting there like listening to the stories. Used bales of hay to cover up the projector, put the pumpkins on the hay, so it was like a solid setup. So it was nice to hear compliments and stuff like that. It was pretty great. But you know, the guys down the street did a full-on haunted house, so you can't fuck with that, can't compete with that. But no, it turned out really great. I've got a lot of pictures of like just seeing what it looks like from the street as you walk up, and the projector for the bay window is like pretty effective. So
yeah, I just thought you were gonna start cooking meth, and that's why that's there. Like, I thought this was turning into a meth den.
Yeah. That's the end of this month.
Okay.
That's
got to make your money back on the Halloween
30th,
decorations.
November 30th is meth day. So, but yeah, no, it was great because like I was just using stuff that I had.
Yeah.
The projector I had was my dad's old business projector, and I got it working, and it was really great. I had a great time, and then at night when, you know, the kids stopped coming, I changed the projection to project Trick or Treat threw on threw it on the sound system here, so I'm projecting Trick or Treat into my bay window now.
Nice.
And I just like lying on the floor after having like a couple of beers.
Couple you say.
A couple of beers
I call bullshit.
Yeah, a couple of beers and just like maxing and relaxing a Halloween night, like watching Trick or Treat. It was pretty great. I enjoyed myself. Yeah, so that's what we did. What we should do is actually for this episode's post on the website, we'll throw up some pictures so people can see kind of like what we're talking about, because it's pretty well documented.
Yep.
Yeah, so two little pieces of news I wanted to go over before we jump into our main line here.
Let's do it.
In horror news, because it is October and this is our Halloween episode, I saw a wonderful piece of news that made me very happy today. Penny Dreadful's a TV show that went for 3 seasons but got cut off. They canceled the show and it was kind of very rushed the last season, but it's a very good show. There's news that they're bringing it back, and it's being called Penny Dreadful's City of Angels, actually taking place in L.A. in the 1930s.
Dope.
And it's going to use a lot of Mexican mythology, like folklore, as a part of the show. So don't really know much about that. Some art was released, and it was like kind of a Day of the Dead sort of woman dressed in that sort of fashion as a promo art, and it kind of sets the tone for what it's going to be. Really excited, really glad to see that show's coming back on the air, because really it's a great show, but it gets knocked for its 3rd season because it is all very, very rushed. Damn. You see they have a lot of big ideas there. It was continued in a comic book series, which I haven't read yet, but will be reading.
Nice.
Gotta get the door.
Pause. All right, we're back. So we just finished talking about Penny Dreadful. Only thing I'll say about that is it's a series that I've been dying to finish. I haven't had a chance to because like every time I went to the States when I was traveling down there for work a bunch, I'd always jump on their Netflix because they'd have it there, and I'd try and get through as many episodes as I could. But dude, it's a heavy ass show.
It's heavy.
It's
dramatic.
Like a ton of bricks on your brain. So I can only watch like a couple episodes a night. Whereas like
I was exactly the same way. It took me years to get through the show.
Yeah.
Because it's a very heavy, it's extremely goth, extremely dramatic and gory, but also just gorgeous. It's like a beautiful show, and you don't have to watch. I would encourage you not to watch it all at once. It's not. I've never been a binge watcher. I'm not one. I don't like that. But even if I was, I would recommend you not binge watch. You want it to kind of sit and marinate a little bit. You need a break. It's heavy. It's a heavy show.
100%. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that, and that gives me more motivation to actually check out the rest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The other piece of news I wanted to talk about is there is a game by Cyanide Studios called The Call of Cthulhu, and it's out yesterday or 2 days ago.
Oh, dope.
Tuesday. Yeah, it's a first-person investigative game. It's based on the Call of Cthulhu pen and paper game, which I've never played. Never played any pen and paper.
The
anything.
fuck is a pen and paper game? Explain yourself.
It's like Dungeons and Dragons, like a role playing game where you roll the die. Like, I know this is a nerd podcast, and neither of us neither of us have ever played any pen and paper games. I think we should just try it once because I think it's fun. I think it's supposed to be fun. Yeah,
probably.
We should probably play with someone who's got some experience, but anyway, which is neither of us. So and obviously the pen and paper Call of Cthulhu game is based on the H.P. Lovecraft story, The Call of Cthulhu. So it's a first-person investigation game, I guess, and very story-driven. And it looks like it has some great Lovecraft-esque atmosphere. It's been getting like mixed reviews. Like IGN gave it an 8, but I saw another review come in. It was like a 3 out of 10. I'm going to play it for sure. I don't think there's anything that's really going to stop me. I'm probably going to wait for a sale, though, since we've just got games up the wazoo. I collect a lot of digital games. My digital library is vast. So yeah, I just want to let everybody know that is out there, and it is being touted. Even if in the poor reviews, it's got the atmosphere. It nails that Lovecraftian horror-esque atmosphere, and that's something I really do enjoy. And it's been a while since that's been captured in video games. It's hard. It's hard to do. It's hard to capture in anything else other than like a book, and it looks like they've pulled it off. It looks pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah, it sounds good. I'm excited.
Yeah, and again, I know I said this before we get into our main meat of the episode. I want you to. What are we drinking
What
here,
are we drinking?
Justin?
All right, so there's this small little brewery that opened up pretty close to my place, and it is called the People's Pint. No, or maybe just People's Pint. There might be no the. What is it? It's like the Batman. It's just Batman.
Well,
No,
some
the
people call
Facebook?
them the Batman.
the
I
fa-
call it the Facebook.
Yeah.
I call it the Facebook.
Jesus Christ.
The Instagrams.
All right,
the Facebooks.
grandfather. Yeah, no, drinking some stuff from a brewery called the People's Pint. We are drinking right now, or I just finished, Chai Fighter. So it's a milk stout with chai tea. It was a little bit too much for you. Pretty
Oh my
heavy,
God.
pretty bitter.
It was so bitter.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy because what's a nerd podcast without a couple of Star Wars puns?
Right?
Yeah.
They also have, I didn't get it, but they also have a mango, I think it's a milkshake IPA. They call it Mango Fett. And it's got like Jango Fett's kind of helmet.
Oh, boy.
They got some pretty creative stuff. I've talked to the brewer there. I think it's brewer or brewmat. I can't remember what you call them, but he was, as soon as I ordered it, he's like, I don't know about that. The Chai Fighter. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I brew it. I think he said he almost didn't because it had such strong flavors in it.
Yeah.
I fucking love it because I like porters. I like dark beers, and
I do too.
yeah.
But it's extremely bitter.
it
So
is
you gotta
absolutely. That's the
you gotta
chai,
be-
like that's the tea aspect of it for
you
sure.
gotta be
So it comes out,
I'm
but
a brown man who doesn't like the Chai Fighter.
yeah, you're fucking.
I'm a weirdo.
I don't know how it works
I'm gonna
out.
take that brown card.
Hey, do you ever, as a brown man, do you ever get upset when you hear somebody say chai tea?
No, I don't drink any sort of tea, chai,
I'm not
or
saying
coffee.
whether you drink it
So
or not.
I
I'm
don't.
just saying in general in terms of the use of language. There's
Chai tea?
Yeah, there's a buddy of
Yeah.
mine, and I think Hassan Minaj just had a joke a bit about
today.
that. Yeah, but basically, like my buddy from DreamWorks, he would all the time complain about whenever he'd see the tea packets that would say chai tea, and he's like, it's like saying tea.
Yeah.
He was so upset.
Do you get mad at DC Comics being Detective Comics? That's what DC stands for.
I never thought about that, but yeah, that's pretty upsetting.
So I mean, like, I'll give them some leeway to be the chai tea. It's all good.
Have you ever heard anybody say estimated ETA?
Yes.
Have you? I was just kidding.
No, I've
My
seen
response
that.
would be
I
no.
haven't-
I've never fucking heard that.
I
Me neither.
I've seen it typed, I think, in an email. That's a good one. That's a good one. Estimated ETA is about. Whoo. Anyway.
That was a sidebar.
Yeah.
Anyways, People's Pint, like I said, they had that crazy porter, but they have lagers. I'm drinking a really nice mild. It's like a nice light 3% beer with a lot of flavor. They've got fucking IPAs. They've got sours. They've got wheat beers. They've got everything. They've got all kinds of different brews.
I'm drinking their lager here right now.
Yeah.
And I do like the signage they've got on
Yep.
their can.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, they're a good brewery. Actually, the place has a lot of ambiance too when you go in there, and
Yep.
the guys that work there are super awesome.
Very cool.
Can't recommend it more. People's Pint, check it out
Very cool.
if you're in Toronto.
So let's jump right in. So what we're actually going to talk about today is a couple of things. Is one that sort of frames the conversation about. We're going to talk about haunts, essentially haunted houses that pop up around October. There's a documentary on Netflix called Haunters: The Art of the Scare. It's directed by John Schnitzer, and last year at Fantastic Fest, which is in September, we did an episode on that. We can link out to the episode. But essentially, I saw this world premiere there, and I met John Schnitzer and Shar Mayer, who is featured prominently in the film, and we just had a great time. Had a great time partying at the Alamo Draft House. It was so much fun. He's such a nice guy, and clearly passionate about his work, and so humble, so happy to be there. But he also has been talking and working with some of like industry's top talent. He told me a great Tim Burton story when he met Tim Burton. Like, it was just so much fun to be around him. And Shar Mayer is actually a haunter.
Yeah.
So her life has been built around these kinds of things, and she scares people for a living, essentially. And she came in makeup to like a lot of the events at the Alamo Draft House, and we had so many great conversations. My wife was loving. She's not a big horror movie fan at all. we went to the premiere together, and she really liked it too because it's interesting. It paints a very human picture.
Yeah.
On what these people are like who build these haunts, and so I just wanted to say, listen, it's a great documentary. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. We're not going to cover it all in detail here. It's more to frame the conversation we're going to have. But go see it. Go see it on Netflix. If you really like it, buy it on Blu-ray. Support this guy because it's beautifully put together, and he's super talented. And I'm really sort of waiting to see what he comes out with next. But yeah, so maybe you want to tell us a little bit about Haunters because you just saw it recently, right?
I just saw it recently, and some of the standout things for me is that you could tell that the filmmakers were very passionate about what they were doing. There didn't seem to be any kind of bias one way or another in what they were displaying. It was basically like, this is what it looks like. This is kind of what that world is.
Yeah.
The way they framed some of the not characters, but the way they framed some of the people's lives might have been in a way put together to be a little bit more dramatic. For instance, the ones that do The Nightmare on Longberry, the dude with the glasses.
Yep.
I thought their marriage was going to crumble in the middle of that movie,
in the
right?
middle of that.
Yeah, the way that everything... And I don't think that... I think that there were some legitimate problems with the whole, him loving it so much and her not liking it.
Yeah.
But then at the end, they basically find a common interest in it, and it brings them stronger and better together. I think the way that they put that together was the way they displayed it was a little bit more dramatic to kind of give you that journey for those people.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little bit of context for our listeners is that Haunters, the Art of the Scare talks about the haunts and targets two specific ones in detail.
Yes.
So the guy with the glasses is
that's Nightmare on Longberry, and then the other one is McCamey Manor. McCamey Manor. Yeah. It's basically an extreme haunt ran by a guy that the guy makes my fucking skin crawl. Yeah. He just seems like a fucking scumbag.
So it's interesting that you say that because I felt the same way during watching it for the first time and watching it again just recently. Actually, I had it on just before we started the show. But what John Schnitzer does so well is that he balances everything out.
Yes.
He doesn't. It seems like he's going to. So the whole thing is kind of. It's framed around this old style of haunts and this new extreme style of haunts, like Blackout in New York City, where they waterboard you in the dark and they simulate crazy things like rape and torture and stuff like that, to the old school haunts, which are more the boo scares and all of that, and explore some other avenues like story driven haunts, for example, that are interactive plays. So it runs that gamut. It almost looks like it's going to villainize the McCamey Manor creator, and I can't remember his name now. Anyway, it's I feel like it's Chuck. Or
I just remember people yelling his name, begging him to let them out, and he's just there with the camera in their face, like, "No, I'm not gonna let you out."
Yeah.
He said, "I still have you for a little longer."
Yeah,
Get the fuck out of here.
So it seems like it's going to vilify him.
Russ McCamey.
Yeah. And it looks like it's going to vilify him, but it turns and it humanizes him in this really weird way that everybody can relate to. So he's also showing the other haunter, the guy with the glasses, and the effect that this has on his marriage. Right? It also investigates why people would want to go to a haunt. Why would they want to go to an extreme haunt? It's a very interesting analysis of why is this? Why does he have a list of 17,000 people that want to go to McCamey Manor?
Yep.
It's not like he doesn't do his due diligence, So anyway, check out Haunters, the Art of the Scare. It's very, very cool. To add to that, Justin and I went to a haunt this year called at Casa Loma, which is a castle in Toronto. And they do up the whole setup, and there's an outside piece, and then there's a couple of inside pieces to it. All, in my opinion, really well done, but definitely firmly in the old traditional haunt style,
right?
As opposed to this new sort of extreme haunt style,
right?
So I guess what I would want to throw out to you is, what do you prefer, and what's your take on this whole experience and this extreme stuff, and is it something you would ever do?
The extreme stuff, no. I wouldn't want to be in a position where I'm paying to go somewhere to be completely uncomfortable with something, and going to like an extreme haunt just sounds exactly like that. People are trying to abuse me, belittle me, break me down. And in McKamey's manner, there is no way out. Essentially, there's no safe word, right? If you want out, you're going to have to start fighting people, right? And I don't want to put my fight or flight response at the test in a situation like that. I just don't think it'll be good for anybody, myself or anybody that's running the haunt. Like, there were times in the documentary where that Russ guy has the camera in people's faces, and they're begging him to come out, and he keeps saying no to their face. I'm like, why don't you just grab his fucking camera? Like, at that point, if you were that if you're wanting to get out that much, I don't know. I feel like they should be fighting back more. But
it's an interesting process to get into a place like McKamey Manor, because Russ, he is not just he's not false advertising. There is zero false advertising. In fact,
hold on. I'll challenge you on that. Maybe not for McKamey Manor now, but the thing that really set me off about him was what he did to his neighbor.
Oh, yeah.
That was fucked up.
The coffin thing?
No, well, there was the coffin thing, but like he would blatantly lie to her and say, no, we're not going to do any of that stuff to him. Yeah. Of course I did that stuff to him. You're a fucking asshole.
Yeah. No, totally an asshole.
That's some dick shit. So
I don't think that I have zero argument that he's a dick.
Yeah.
I just think the overall picture of a place like that existing comes from fulfilling a need. Mm-hmm. People want this.
That I do not question. You're absolutely right.
Which totally blows my mind, because he does his due diligence.
Yeah.
You see him in the documentary filming. Filming it too, but yes. Yeah, filming as well. But he's also interviewing.
Yes.
Every candidate. He's like, listen, man or woman, I'm going to torture you for. And these, you know how long those sessions are? 4 hours.
Yeah.
It's a 4-hour torture session. I'm going to torture you for 4 hours. I'm not going to let you out. There is no safe word. If you want out, I will not let you out. Horrific things are going to happen in there.
Yeah.
And he's very clear, nothing sexual, nothing like that. It's all going to be just horrific things.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let you out.
Yeah.
What makes you want to do this? And everyone has reasons. And they're trying to convince. It's almost like they're trying to convince him that they're the right candidate to go in. It's like a job interview.
No, I don't disagree with you. And you're absolutely right.
I'm blown away by just simply that fact. That fact that there are enough people out there that want to experience this. It defines his existence.
Yeah.
Because you can sit there, shake your fist all day and be like, oh, what are you doing? You're crazy, assholes. Like, you shouldn't be doing that sort of thing. Actually, if there's a need and people want it, he's providing a service that true. People are willing to pay for.
It's just how far is too far. I mean, some guy passed out and was completely unresponsive to the point where they thought he killed him. They
freaked out.
They freaked out because they thought they fucking killed him. And then the guy comes out of it, and then they just start going again, I think.
Yeah, they just pick it up and go again. It's just, it's totally nuts.
It's a little bananas to me.
Yeah. In New York, they have the blackout one where they waterboard you, and it's just totally crazy. These extreme haunts are totally nuts.
The blackout thing, there was one thing that they didn't cover it much in the film, but there was one guy that they were interviewing, and he literally said, I get to do, and he had this creepy fucking look in his eyes, I get to do things with them that it would make me lose my marriage over.
Yeah.
I would go to jail for it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. I was like, good God.
Yeah.
Why are you not in jail just for this interview? At that point, I would admit that as a confession of something.
Yeah,
I don't know what you did, but you shouldn't have done it. You're going in there.
I totally agree.
It's fucked up.
The people they hire for these things, it's like these people have done time. Like, they go into all of... They take the skeletons out of the closet, literally and figuratively, in this documentary, and they lay it all out.
McKamey Manor, they mentioned they were employing kids, right? I'm like, you were fucking raising serial killers for what those kids are doing in there.
Yeah, that's right.
It's madness. Just absolutely madness.
Yeah, it's crazy. For me personally, also, I'm in the camp of extreme horror isn't hard to do.
Yes.
I think it's not hard to do. You can always turn the lights off and chloroform someone, or and then have them wake up tied to a chair. You can have that. That type of horror is not difficult. I think that's one of the big reasons why I don't don't respect it.
Yeah.
I don't really respect it. I just feel like it's assault.
I agree.
I think it's assault. It's uncomfortable, but a lot of people use that as a reason that they do like it, that they want to go and experience this thing. So for me, I'm a very traditional haunter kind of guy. I am a very appreciative of atmosphere. McCamey Manor doesn't have atmosphere.
Yeah.
It has shock value.
Yeah.
Right? Some of the haunts that you see in the documentary, and this goes for Casa Loma as well, because we're gonna bring that in here.
Yes.
Casa Loma falls into the setting up of an atmosphere because they have a huge outside portion with the lighting. They have some actors there, some really impressive animatronics, really impressive makeup. Nobody's manhandling you. No one's stuffing a spider into your mouth or feeding you your own vomit or anything like that.
I like that they tell you from the get-go too, like, don't touch any of the performers. They're not going to touch you.
Right.
Just go in and have fun. And that kind of frames it well, because you know that even though you get scared, you might run or whatever, you know that you're in a safe place, which
That's right.
I think in a haunt, depending on what you're going for something like Casa Loma, I think that's totally acceptable.
I 100% agree, but that's why people like horror films.
Yes.
That's why people like roller coasters, or to a lesser extent skydiving. Any of those things,
Any of those
I suppose,
things could
could
be
kill
fatal.
you. A horror movie can kill you, give you a heart attack or whatever. But experiencing horror from a place of relative safety is something that we humans can enjoy a luxury of, and it's that luxury that I think is attractive.
Yeah.
I'm gonna dabble in this knowing that I'm 100% safe, right?
Yeah.
And McCamey Manor breaks, along with these other extreme haunts, breaks that down. That's where I stop understanding, because all of that, when it becomes real like that, it's not hard to do. You can really scare someone by actually kidnapping them.
Yeah.
Like that's not difficult to do, but the showmanship, the atmosphere, the setups, that's hard to do. There's a craft there, in my opinion. What I really liked in there was something called, oh God, I forgot. It's not Pandorum. We were just watching it. What was it? The story-driven one.
That they didn't really dig into very much.
I wish they would have covered that
that's
more.
That's the thing I was going to get into.
Delusion.
I was going to say that.
Delusion, I think it's called.
Maybe?
I think that's what it's called,
So we went, when we were in New York, we went to Dream No More, was that?
Oh, Sleep No More.
Sleep No More.
Yep,
So it's not exactly a Halloween haunt or anything like that, but it is kind of, it's
similar.
it's not really it's kind of like a...
There's a story.
Yeah.
There's a story in
I
there.
wouldn't
You're
call
supposed
it a
to figure
linear
it out.
story,
No,
though.
it's
It was
a
kind of non-linear.
Certainly
That's
a
the
non-linear
word I was
story.
looking
Yeah.
for. Non-linear.
The opposite of linear.
Yeah, non-linear.
We all learned something today.
Anywho. Yeah, no, that was cool, because they also break up your group, but like it's interesting in that, like, you end up having to roll with people that you don't know, or maybe by yourself.
Yeah.
And you're kind of, choosing your own adventure to some degree, and then everybody kind of converges into the same spot and the story finishes out.
Yeah.
I'd love to go through something like that again, because it's fun while it's going on, it's interesting, but then after the fact, everybody talking about their experiences separately gives it a whole other layer.
I 100% agree. Delusion, things they highlight here, is definitely based firmly in horror.
Yeah.
But it's an interactive play. Mm-hmm. And there are horrific things that happen, and they have actors, and it's scary, but it's driving a narrative. And I'm like, now you've just put my two favorite things together. You've put in atmospheric horror, like just atmosphere and ambience, and you've smushed it with a plot. And now you've 100% got my attention.
Yeah.
And I think that is actually the best format for this whole thing. So when anything they showed of Delusion, I'm like, I would go there.
Yeah.
And they do things. There's crazy stuff that happens in there where you get cut off and you're trapped in a room with like a little deranged serial killer and stuff like that. But it doesn't look like they touch you or anything like that. It's all part of the show, and they scare the crap out of you. But it's all in the service of some story that they're telling. When you come out of it, you guys can all talk about the different experiences you had when you were split up, when your team was split up, and it's just, I feel like that's the pinnacle of what a like Halloween haunt or a horror haunt or an interactive play. I feel like interactive plays are the way they need to go.
Right. So I'm down with that. I'm down with the classic haunts. Come near me with a waterboarding apparatus. I guess that's just a jug and a rag. I'll be a little bit unhappy about that.
That guy who was gonna wash your car got laid out on the concrete. he's just lying on the floor. You come near me again, I'm gonna slug you. I'm just trying to wash your car, sir. Oh, buddy. But yeah, like he he laid him out good. It's an interesting to meet someone or to hear somebody talk about why they want to do it.
That's the thing the movie really
wild.
goes over. That's
It dwells.
Interesting. It dwells on like the people who are going to these haunts as well. They're as if not more interesting than the people that are actually involved in the haunts.
I 100% agree.
There are
I like
some very
the fact
strange people, and there are some very sick people. I would say, like the guy that I don't know if he was an actor or if he was a patron. I thought he was a patron, but the guy that came out of blackout all excited.
Oh yeah,
seemingly the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
like that guy creeped me out. The two guys that made it out of McCamey Manor were like, I want to go back or I want to get involved. Like it just sounded like
Stockholm syndrome thing going on. It's just a weird thing.
Yeah,
and I find it endlessly fascinating. I think that like the movie does a great job of like exposing all of that, all sides. It doesn't paint villains. Yeah, it's just a crazy thing. You listen to the one like the neighbor who was like, "You guys are crazy. What are you doing?"
Yeah,
and she was going through a part of her life where she was trying to find work and like things were not going well. She's like, you know what? My life is pretty scary. This haunt is nothing. I'm gonna go and do it. Right. This is someone who was staunchly opposed.
Yeah.
And now is gonna go. Like, so it can happen. One day you may find yourself being like, I'm gonna go. And we're going to listen to this podcast and going to be like, look at that.
Turns out I do like just getting repeatedly kicked in the balls over and over again. Sure. Let's do it.
That's right. Kicked in the balls.
No safe word? Sure. Where do I stand?
Kicked in the balls until you throw up and then they feed you your own
Oh,
vomit.
fuck. That's so gross.
It's awful. Yeah.
It's so gross.
Yeah, but like there are these people who were staunchly opposed and then they went ahead and did it. And then she did it again. Now, she was kind of coaxed into doing it the second time. Kinda, like I think they kind of lied to her, but at the same time, there is a drop.
I lied to her. He didn't kind of lie to her. He's like, yeah, I did it.
But there is a part of us that wants to test our limits.
True. Yes.
And as long as that part of like humanity exists, I think the haunts are only going to get more extreme. It's just like picture signs like, come on in, and for $20. We'll sever a leg.
Yeah.
Like one day you're going to go in and just have a full on like... It's
fucked up, man.
Give you like a garage vasectomy.
Oh my God.
I just see it going to such crazy places.
Where are your surgical tours? These wire clippers. these little hedge clippers. Come here and get your snippings.
Oh man. But like it's only going to get more extreme.
Or until something bad happens and then it gets rolled back. Good old glasses from Longberry.
Yeah.
Was pretty afraid of something like that happening.
He was staunchly against opposed. And this guy is when you say extreme haunts, we mean the ones where they like physically and verbally assault you.
Yeah.
His haunt is terrifying. He's got people running around, chasing people around,
chainsaws
but nobody's laying hands on it.
Yes, yeah,
that's the difference.
It's more of a classical haunt with a little bit more modern, slightly like higher budget,
like modern sensibilities.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, man, the gore, like it doesn't do it for me. So the costumes is just like blood. Like you know what I hate in haunts? You know what I hate? The medical facilities, the surgery rooms. I absolutely hate those. I think that there's no class to them at all. Like again, I'm definitely a traditionalist. I think that's kind of where I'm coming from. The surgery, the torture porn style stuff.
Yeah.
Never really hit it with me. So like when you have a room and it's covered in blood and you have a couple of fake severed limbs in there, does nothing for me. You go into a room like in Casa Loma and you have a Phantom of the Opera set up, right? With the Phantom playing the piano or the woman bound to the bed like singing and the Phantom's playing the organ and stuff. That stuff captures my imagination.
Yeah.
Whereas a room covered in blood with a couple of severed feet and a doctor
doesn't leave much room for imagination. You know where you are.
You know where you are. It's like, oh, it's one of these again.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I could do without it. But
Yeah.
you know, I feel like I'm like an old fogey, a traditionalist when it comes to that kind of stuff. But
You are boring. Now, the but Casa Loma, we went a couple years ago. It was a good experience then. This was I don't think that it was better or worse than the last one.
I think it was better simply because they included the Michael Myers scene,
Yeah.
which I absolutely loved.
Without that, it doesn't take it over the top, but it doesn't make it worse either. It like they had a quality standard that they set 2 years ago. Then we went, and that was the only time that we had actually gone.
It was like first year they did it.
It was
right?
the first year they did it, maybe. And I was really impressed.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then this year they took that, they did some different stuff, but it was still fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
the
it was
atmosphere
fun.
They set up. The actors are all super into it. They know when to go after people. I saw a couple of them just kind of tap out at a certain point because there were some people in front of us that just weren't having fun with it. They weren't getting into it.
Yeah.
Like there were some people that I don't know about you. And I
I'm
think
a
you mentioned
screamer.
it. You're a screamer, but like you dialed that up a little bit more and were
did.
reacting. I was doing the same thing
yeah.
because you're in that environment. That's
Yeah.
how you want to react. Like it's no fun if you're just going around like, well, I kind of knew you were going to do that.
Yeah.
Like you know what? You see that creepy goose, be like, I don't know about you.
Yeah.
And it gives them something to play with too.
That's
If you just
right.
go up to them and they're like, "Ugh,"
Yeah.
it's boring.
Char Mayer, the hauntress, I guess,
yeah.
it mentions at one point there's a relationship that's built between
I wrote that down, yeah.
the haunter and the hauntee.
The monster and the person.
The monster and the person.
Yeah.
not as I didn't do it as eloquently as she did, but there's a relationship in that moment
Yes.
built between the two people, and I love the way she did that because there's more to it.
Yeah.
Like I think there's more to it than that, and you build that relationship, and it's fun.
Yes.
That interaction is fun. It's scary, sometimes it's terrifying, but it's fun. In the end, you come out with a smile on your face.
Yes.
Right? And I got to tell you this. I don't know if I'm like spoilers for Casa Loma.
Okay, it's over at this point.
That's right. There was one moment. There's several moments where I legit got scared. But I, like you said, I dial things up. I'm like, I'm a screamer. I go like, oh my god, fuck, like swearing,
more fun, yeah.
swearing, and like freaking out. And it's fun. It's building that relationship between yourself and the person scaring you. But there was one scare in that whole thing that really. Like after that moment, I literally had to go into the other room and like take a knee.
Which
because when we were walking through, like it's cool because it is a castle, so they use that to their advantage, and they have kind of the bowels of the castle that go underground. And as soon as you're passing through one of the, and you were behind me, I think when this happened, I was like looking back at one of those projections that they were using the projector, and I was like, oh, that's pretty nice. And I was opening some drapes and walking through this dark slit of shadow into the next room. So as soon as I finished that statement, I'm like, oh, that was pretty nice. And I'm walking, and there, I swear to God, in that darkness, that little strip of darkness, there's a guy standing there, and all he's doing is whispering in people's ears. So he's like, I'm like, hey, that was pretty nice. And this is all I hear. I swear, must be an inch from my ear. It was like this, nice. That's what he said into my ear, and I fucking just freaked out.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell? Because I don't know how close he actually was. Couldn't see a damn thing in there. But he did that. But you know what's cool about that? Is it's subtle.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, boo, rah, or punched me in the face like they would do in Blackout, or like something ridiculous, Or put a bag on my head.
Yeah.
Like, it was so subtle and simple, and it got me so hard. The next room, I just kind of like took a knee. I'm like, whoa, that was I was like shook up by that one. That one, because it came out of nowhere.
Do you think that every person that walked by, he'd just repeat the last thing they said?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think it's but that was the other thing that got me. It's like, it was customized.
Yeah, well,
it was
what if
like,
you said to somebody like, oh my god, I gotta take a dump, and then he just goes,
dump.
Jesus.
Dumperino.
No, that's too much. Too many syllables.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it was like that was amazing. And the Michael Myers piece, he actually drops the chain. Like So Michael Myers is in the room in a recreation of the new 2018 Halloween, which we had just seen, and it's the checkerboard pattern, and it's so wonderful. It's so well done. They obviously have a lot of love, and that was the thing. That's the other thing. Casa Loma has a lot of love in creating this atmosphere.
Yeah.
And they do a great job of it. And he's there. And as I was walking by, again, like I've amped it up to 11. So I've gotten a lot of screaming and he's just standing there staring at us, and it's a strobe light. and I was like screaming that line from the beginning of the movie in that scene where the podcaster's like, he's holding up the mask. He's like, say something, Michael.
Yeah.
Say something. So I was doing the same thing. I'm like, say something, Michael. And I think you had gone through.
Yeah,
and
I had
passed the
started
room
already.
And I'm like, I'm in there by myself now. I'm like, say something, Michael. And he's chained to the thing. And then the chain drops and he unlocks it. And I'm like, whoa. And he starts walking towards me. And then I like freaked out and ran out. And I'm like, oh, he's not following me. I turned around. He was right behind me the whole time. But yeah, no, like it was a good moment. I really enjoyed it. I enjoy that. I enjoy being scared. I watch horror movies because I do get scared. I'm not one of those guys that like nothing scares me. I'm like, yeah, a lot of things fucking scare me. Otherwise, it wouldn't be any fun.
Right. Yeah. There's a thrill of being scared that I think some of it is good and too much of it's probably not good.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
Yeah, you don't want to be terrified, but having a little bit of fear in you is kind of fun.
Yeah. A lot of people, I've met some folks that said Casa Loma was shit, quote unquote, and I'm like, I can see that if you were expecting something extreme, not extreme, even more in your face.
Yeah.
I can see it being underwhelming, but for me, it was great.
They put a lot of time and effort and money into it, frankly,
absolutely.
and I think they do a good job. I also like the bar, the 2/3 of the way through. Fuck, man, we dropped. I mean, shit's expensive there.
Yeah,
but you
like
kind of expect that
$8.
going in.
Yeah.
It was fun though, man. The atmosphere's in there.
Yeah.
And there's good. All of the patrons and the bartenders and everybody that's in there just seems to be like having a good time.
Yeah, that's like, and people can kind of deflate, talk about what they've just seen, and being scared together is a fun like sort of group activity, and like having a couple drinks and talking about it there in a themed bar like that was tons of fun.
Yeah.
Loved it. That's it. I think we can wrap it up.
I think so.
Zip it up and zip it out.
That is a Dave Chappelle special right there.
It is.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for watching if you're checking us out on YouTube. And that's pretty much all I got.
All right, cool. Well, this is Atul.
This is Justin.
Peace.
Take it easy, guys. Cheers.